Hi everyone. Hi. How are you? I'm here today to talk to you about my new design that is coming tomorrow. I'm very late with recording this episode. It's been busy. It's summer. So, yes. I have no excuses. I'm just late. Hi everyone, my name is Daisy and I'm a knitwear designer. On this channel, I talk about knitting, my designs, and all the creative processes around my work. I'm recording this episode primarily for my Patreon and YouTube channel members, so if you'd like to stay up to date, please consider joining me on Patreon or as a member of my YouTube channel. If you're watching this at a later date, please subscribe and enjoy the episode. Last year, I think, around this time, I was working on this one. It's called Candelaria blouse, and it has this very nice summery memories that are connected to it. So it's only fair that I wear it today to show you my new summer release design. Not so much summery, but it can also be summery. So yeah, without further ado, let me show you Medokvit. And coincidence or not, my first sample, the one that I knit as a vest, I knit in the colors that are matching very closely what I'm wearing today. Is this one. I guess the main color is the same sort of peachy shade, and only the contrasting color that is different. So this is my new design. I call this Medokvit because first of all, Medokvit is a combined name. So it's one of those words, like for instance in German you have the words that are combined from different words and to make one big one with like a complex meaning. So we in Ukrainian sometimes also do that. Not as often as in German, I think, but we also do that. And Medokvit consists of two parts. So med, which is a honey, and kvit, which is a root for the word of flower, bloom. Combining the two makes a wonderful word which has no direct translation, maybe something like honey bloom. And for me, that came from combining the two patterns of this honeycomb on the central panel, the nice little cavely honeycombs, and the flowers. The flowers, for some, they look like clematis flowers, but you can choose, think of your favorite flower and make a connection there. So yeah, this is Medokvit, and I have a second sample that I need as a pullover, and it is in these beautiful colors. This is like a red-brown, earthy, terracotta meets Bordeaux color with just some oatmeal as a contrast, and I also like this combination of white on dark. And let me get to this in just a little bit. I started with the vest version first, and it wasn't supposed to be a vest. It was supposed to be a pullover from the beginning, but something went wrong, and I sort of gave up on it and decided, okay, if you don't want to be a pullover, you're going to be a vest. And I think I caught a bit of a corner, and I just stuck with it because I was so frustrated with the whole thing. So I just left it like that, with a straight sleeve and a nice little sleeve cuff to have just a vest, a very relaxed summery vest that you can use for layering in spring or fall. And I was quite happy with it, except for one thing, that in my yarn, and for this one I used a luxurious mix of Donegal lamb's wool with silk and cashmere. This is Life in the Long Grass, their base husk. It doesn't have many colors, but this one is gorgeous. It's called Desert or Desert. Desert. I think it's more like desert, right? The sandy peachy color. And it's wonderful for cables. You can see that the stitch definition is really beautiful, and it's wonderful for color work because it's a woolen spun, so it's gonna bloom after you block it and fill in all the little gaps between the stitches. And also for the little dot stitch pattern, it's also nice. It gives a nice texture. So overall the yarn fit for this design is perfect, except for one thing. When I made it a vest, it didn't give the shoulder enough drape to look light and flowy. So instead sometimes it would just stick out and look not so nice. It's wonderful, I have to say that it's wonderful when I have a dress with bigger sleeves, or like a thicker linen dress where you have the sleeves and you need the room. So then with this vest on top it does look really nice. But if I just want to throw it on top of a sleeveless dress or something very light, then it might look more bulky, because this particular yarn, it doesn't drape. If you can look at the testers project, some of them did use a more drapey yarn, or like a merino, or just the yarn that has more move to it, more weight to it, because this one is also very light. Then it doesn't look so bad. It's actually looking very nice and relaxed, summery. But for this one particularly, for me, I'm not so sure. The problem is, if I were to redo the shoulder and add some shaping like I did on the next sample on my pullover version, I would need to rip off the whole side and re-knit the whole side. I mean the hem, and then both sides will have to go, and I will need to redo this. So I was sort of lazy to go back to redo the whole thing, and instead I went and cast on another sample. So that way I have two of them to show you and to wear. Maybe one day when I'm lazy and I don't have any other projects on my needles, which never, I will go back and redo this one. I thought about just ripping it a bit and doing a surgery, but that's not gonna work. It's just too much that needs to happen on a shoulder to make it easy enough to redo. So there will be lots of things that need to happen. So yeah, with that, I think it's absolutely gorgeous as it is. It's just this yarn is a bit wrong for this kind of shape that I wanted it to do. If that was a bit soft like this is 100% silk with a strand of silk mohair, and you can see that it drapes really nicely. So that would be no problem at all. But in this particular yarn, you see that it is quite stiff. So let me show you the pullover, and then I'll talk you a bit through the construction and bits and pieces. So for my pullover version, I went for 2 strands. So one is a strand of knitted unspun yarn. It is something like a sport weight on its own. So then I added a strand of silk mohair, and this one is sport weight. So this one turned out to be heavier. So, of course, my gauge was a bit off, but I will get to it also soon. And it's the same size as the other one, but it is quite longer. So my row gauge was a bit different because the yarn is heavier, but overall it is the same size as the vest. So what I did here, I knitted a longer neck and I folded it double. So I've sewn it on the inside. And when you work with knitted and 2 strands, well, one of which is silk mohair, it's very nice to use only silk mohair for things like sewing in the neck, or I even used it. I think I used 3 strands of silk mohair without knitted, because knitted is a bit of pain when you have to do like tubular bind off. Because it's too fragile, it breaks. So I used 3 strands of silk mohair to do the bind off on the cuff and on the hem, and that made it very, very easy, and it looks the same. You won't see the difference. And what I did, most importantly, what I did on the pullover, I added shoulder shaping. So here, when I worked the side, I also decreased stitches on the shoulder, and that made a very beautiful fit on the shoulder. And I knitted a straight sleeve and gathered it at the cuff. So the sleeve is also in the dot pattern, and then I have a half twisted rib cuff that holds everything together. So yeah. What else did I do? I did let's start from the beginning. So how it is knit? It has a modular construction, and it consists of, you start with 2 panels, with 2 honeycomb panels, for the front and for the back. You shape the neckline on the panels, and then you join them to work in the round. So the collar work section is worked in the round. You will have 2 panels and then little bridges of the shoulders, and then you will join them in a big round, and you will start working in around the collar work panels here. I have, by the way, I have a separate video that I managed to record in time, describing the construction and all the steps, so that will make it much easier for you to understand what you're going to do. So, and the collar work is done in the round, and you increase along the 4 increase lines, like 2 on the front and 2 on the back. What you do then, you work the sides, and the sides are worked flat sideways. So you also work flat back and forth, but you move this direction and that direction. And then you seam at the bottom till where you want your sleeve to start, and the rest of the stitches will be for the sleeve. And then at the bottom, when both sides are ready, you pick up for the hem. And hem is also worked in the round. What I did on the vest sample, I treated the hem and cuff with the folded, with the hemmed sort of fold, and I think it looks really nice. I did the top of it in a dot stitch pattern. You can see that it is textured, and then on the inside it's just stuck in it, and I think it works really nice for especially if it's a cropped version, for just like a little trim after the collar work. I wouldn't imagine the hem being much longer than the collar work. That wouldn't look nice. You have to think of proportions and keep the hem, in my opinion, shorter than the collar work. That would look much better than if you make it too long. So yes, and then I've seamed the sides here with a Kitchener stitch, so it's almost invisible. Well, a little bit, of course you see it, but it's not as pronounced as it would be if you used the 3 needle bind off, which I used on the other one. And here you see this chain on the front and back central panels. I use this three needle bind off that on the side. It mimics the same, it mimics the chain on the front and the back. So this little thing that you can add to make it even nicer. And then on this one I did like a simple half twisted rib on the neck and a little stockinette and a pearl bind off edge to finish this lower neckline. And on the other one I showed you, I had a taller neck. I tried it unfolded to have just like a turtleneck, but it didn't quite look nice. So I folded it instead, and it gives a well-balanced look to the neck, considering the volume the rest of the sweater. So this is a very nice detail if you want to make a warm pullover for winter. What else? There are cute little details, you probably noticed them on the side panels. These little, I don't know, patches of honeycomb. They go on the sides, and one of my testers suggested that one could make little hidden pockets in them. So this could be a nice little tip for you if you think that's something. And what I forgot to tell you, on the pullover version I did a ribbing on the hem as well. So you see I also kept it here shorter than the color work, and it looks quite nice. I used the same number of stitches as for the folded hem, so this also works. You don't have to do anything to change for that. I have to tell you that the pattern has both options for the vest and for the pullover. You can choose to have the shoulder shaping or not to have it. You can also choose to do the folded hem or ribbing. And what else? I did not write down the neck, but neck is very easy to just knit longer and just fold it. I have all my, what I written, the pattern is focused on this one. So the gauge is used for this one, and everything, all the measurements are calculated based on the sport weight yarn. And the pullover, as I told you, the gauge is different, and I left all the notes at the end of the pattern on the last page, and also like modifications that I made, I included into my Ravelry project. So if you go there, you will see what I did exactly, how many runs were on the neck, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that should be helpful if you want to modify something. About modifications, it is very important to pick the right yarn, thinking that you want your shoulders to drop off, so it needs to have a bit of drape to look nice on the shoulders. It is still a very boxy construction, so you want it to be soft and give you some a relaxed feel and look. And it is important to, there are 3 gauges here that you have to think about. So the gauge for the honeycomb, the gauge for the color work, and then the gauge for the dot stitch. And what I personally did, I started with the honeycomb, and then from that swatch you can actually pick up stitches for the color work and continue to the dot stitch, and then you can adjust the needle sizes to have all the for it to lay flat, you know, not to spread out or be tightened. So you need to get a flat, nice straight swatch, and then you'll know that it's gonna be nice and even. That's your goal to, yeah, for this sweater. And for me personally, when I knitted this one, I started with the honeycomb, and then from this and the amount of stitches per pattern that I had to pick up, I figured out the needle sizes for the rest. And that's the way to go if you're not sure, or if you can't get all the gauges together as in the pattern. Start with the honeycomb and then work your way out from here to figure out the rest. I would say that it is a very easy pattern to modify. You can basically start from any gauge and any weight of yarn with the central panels, and then figure out the way the yarn the needle sizes for the rest. It is like a constructor where you just keep going, and along the way you can adjust little things. It's also the pattern also has 3 lengths options included, which are defined by the length of your central panel. So the longer your central panel is, the longer your sweater will be, because then you will add on top the color work and your hem. So think about that in the beginning and look at your swatch to estimate what your final length will be. Then regarding the width, that's very easy to modify too, because you can knit the side panels for as long as you like them to be, you know, and depending on that you will have more or less ease in the bust. It is boxy, so there is nothing to be afraid of. You can make it as big as you like. Also, if you are making a vest, I would recommend to have more positive ease, because that will make the sleeve cuff a bit longer and drape nicer, where instead if you make it too fitted, it's gonna probably stand a bit like a straight shoulder thingy. So it's nice to have some extra room to have the sleeve fall off your shoulder. What else? What else did I forget to tell you? I probably did forget to tell you something. In any case, if that's the case, please write in the comments and I will answer all your comments. And if you need pattern support, you have the email in your patterns. I'm always happy to give you a hand if you're stuck somewhere. So yeah, I think it's pretty much it. I don't know why I delayed recording this for so long, but that's just life. I was debating today, do I record or do I start a new design? And I was like, can I do both? So I did both. And yeah, now I have this done and I can go and swatch something new. I have a new test knit coming next week. So if you're interested in a bit of a color work, and I also use this dot stitch pattern on the body. It's a round yoke pullover with color work on the yoke and along the hem. And yeah, the body's worked and sleeve worked in this pattern, so it kind of stick with me. It's nice to add a little bit of interest. So yeah, please stay tuned, sign up to my newsletter, and I hope to see you on the Destiny team. And other than that, have a wonderful summer. Be safe, be healthy, take care of yourself and your loved ones, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for your support. Bye.